What's happening? Hi, Sophia in Singapore, and thank you for the reminder, Kitty. I am also going to record. Someone's already done it for me, I think. Okay, great. So we're recording, we're ready to go. So good morning, everybody. Today we are doing a model lesson about managing conflict. And this webinar is part of our National Geographic Learning series on being future ready. So we believe it is the educator's role to equip learners with the skills they need to be ready for whatever the future brings. That's ready to study, ready to work, and ready to live. This month, we're focusing on preparing our students to be ready for work. Let me introduce myself very quickly. My name is Will Lachette, and I am a senior academic consultant and teacher trainer for National Geographic Learning. I'm from the UK originally, but I live in Singapore, and I've been working in ELT in Asia since 2001. And I would like to find out a little bit about you. So I'm going to launch my first poll here, which you should see pop up on your screen. And I'd just like you to tell me which of these segments that you teach in. You can all tick as many as you like, as many that are true for you. So if you teach young learners, teens, and university, you can put all of those in. You may not be a teacher, and that is absolutely fine as well. You can select that one. Just while we're doing that, hi Ariel in Beijing. Can I just remind everybody in the chat box, can you please change the settings to everyone so that everyone can see your comments? And another reminder that I want you to take part. Okay, I want this to be interactive, so please take part in the chat box. If there's a particular question that you would like me to answer, please type that into the Q&A and I will deal with that at the end, okay? Or maybe if it's a general question, one of my colleagues will answer that for you directly during the session. Okay, let's end the poll and have a look at the results. So we can see that today we have got, so teens, 43% teens, okay, 38 university and 35% adult. So those are really the areas that the content, the materials we're looking at today would be most relevant for sort of older teenagers, university age student and adult students. So we've got a good proportion of you. This will be highly relevant. And for the other people joining, I think you're going to find it interesting anyway, okay? And, you know, some of the ideas we look at, you'll be able to use in your lessons as well. Oman says, can I invite my colleague to join? Sure, you can invite anyone you like to join. That would be fantastic. The more the merrier, Oman. Okay, so today's material, it's from the the intermediate level of National Geographic Learning's new adult program, which is called Voices. Voices is a 7-level integrated skills program in British English and American English. And as I said, it's for young adults and adults. We're using this one in the middle, the intermediate level. So today we're going to be looking at Unit 3, which is called Working Together, because this fits in with our theme of getting ready for work. And here we have a very moving image of people working together. I wonder if you can just type into the chat box for me. Can you see what they're doing in this image? So this is the unit opener. Can anyone see what's happening there? Rescuing, right? They are rescuing. Who or what are they rescuing? They're working together to rescue a whale. That's right. So it's a beached whale. A whale that has got stuck on the beach, and we've got a team of people here. These are rescuers, but they're also locals, and it's in Argentina. They're trying to get that whale off the beach into the water so that it survives. So to succeed in their task, they have to cooperate and they have to communicate with each other very well. So what would happen if half of the team are pushing the whale one way and half of them are pushing the other way? We're going to get a conflict and they're not going to succeed in their task. So conflict is today's theme, and to give you a little bit of context for how that fits in the unit, I'm going to show you the unit goals, which you'll find on the first page of every unit in Voices. There are 6 goals here for the unit, and today we're looking at this one, which is learn about managing conflict. So this is the D lesson that we're looking at today. And the D lesson is primarily a speaking lesson. But as you'll see, because this is integrated skills, we'll also be doing reading, we'll be doing listening as well as speaking. And in my opinion, the D lessons in voices are really special because the content is quite different to what you might find in the average textbook. In the D lessons, we learn about communication skills, life skills, and future-ready skills, which are going to help students succeed. So here are the lesson goals from the student book. So we're signposting very clearly to our students, this is what we're learning today. And this extra bit here, this is from the teacher's book, which gives a bit more context for the teacher so that the teacher can also have more information about how they're setting up the goals for the lesson. So today, I'm going to be doing the rest of the lesson on the classroom presentation tool. This can be found on our Spark platform. And on the classroom presentation tool, it's a digital resource, which has all, you can use it online or offline. It has all of the multimedia resources that you need. It has all the student book and workbook content, and it also has interactive activities with answers. So it's the perfect teaching tool, whether you are in the physical classroom or teaching online. And this is what it looks like. So we're now going to go over to the classroom presentation tool. So let me just stop sharing for a second. Okay, and I'm going to do a new share. And we'll go into the classroom presentation tool. Okay, here we go. So this is what it looks like. So it looks exactly like the book, actually. This is exactly what the students will see in their book. And I can zoom in and out. I can move this around. Okay, and we're going to go over here and have a look at the beginning of the lesson. Okay, so over here it says we start off with a definition and we start off with a speaking task to get our students in the mood. So it says here, a conflict is a difference in opinion, a disagreement, or an argument, and then students are going to work in pairs to answer these questions. But I think we need to make sure that our students, remember these are B1 level, okay, intermediate students, but we need to make sure that they really understand this concept. So I'm going to jump over to my whiteboard, okay, or I'm using OneNote here as my whiteboard today, and I've put the same definition up on the screen here. So I'm focusing on these two words here. It says a disagreement or an argument, and I want to make sure, clarify my students understand that. So I've written two definitions here, so we can see the definition for disagreement. I've put here when people do not agree with each other. And then I've put another one for argument, when people do not agree with each other and say angry words. So we've got this feeling here, anger, okay, angry, and they maybe shout at each other. Okay, now what I want to do while we're looking at this, okay, because people learn in different ways, okay, and I might be able to introduce a little bit of social and emotional learning here. So I've put some emojis here which I've taken off the internet, and I want you to help me to match these with the correct word, disagreement or argument. So if I look at this emoji here, okay, can you just type into the chat box for me? What emotion is that showing? Okay, how is this emoji feeling? Right, anger, angry. Okay, perfect, right? Angry. So if I'm looking at disagreement or argument, where should I put this emoji? Does it match with disagreement or argument? Okay, right. So this is going to be argument, right? So when we argue, we tend to be angry. So it has this included in the meaning. When we argue, we're angry. How about this one? How's this emoji feeling here? The one below. It's neutral. Okay, so it's not happy. Okay, not angry. All right, so this one, where can I put this one? Is this disagreement or argument? Yeah, so we're going to put this one up here. So I want to make this very visual and highlight to the students, okay, that although the meanings are similar, there's definitely a difference in the way that we feel, okay? I've got a couple more here. How about this one? What does this emoji mean? This one, the girl here. It means no, right? Which one of these can I apply this to? So it means no, right? Okay, so I can Yeah, so I've got argument, disagreement. Does it mean both of them? Do both of them mean no? Okay, so I'm going to put this here. Okay, so no, if I'm disagreeing with someone, it means that I'm saying no, right? I don't agree with you. No, I don't agree. And here, I'm going to put that as well here. Okay, because actually this applies to both, right? Both of these words mean in conflict, it's always there's something that I cannot accept. There's something I'm saying no to. This is where the conflict comes from. How about this one here? What does this one mean? The last one. Agree, right. Okay, so this one, can I apply this to either of these words? What do we think? This handshake, agree. So can I apply that? Or is that one? No. Okay, so we're going to put no. So what I'm going to do here, just to make it very visual, I'm going to put a cross through there. So I can say it means that we do not agree. Okay, so all I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to introduce something visual, okay, to help learners to understand. It's almost actually using translanguaging, right? So we're using the English words and then we're using another way of getting our message across. So in this case, I'm using emojis, yeah, so translanguaging to get this extra support behind. And this works really well with young learners or with lower level learners, but it can also be useful even for higher level learners when we've got words which are similar. Okay, it's a good way to show the difference. Okay, so here we can see they're similar, but we've got one slight difference. Okay, perfect. So now we understand, okay, what conflict means. Okay, it means that we're disagreeing, and that in some cases we can be angry, some cases we could be not angry. So let's go back into the classroom presentation tool. Exactly, Erlinda. Picture paints 1,000 words. So we've got some nice questions here, warmer questions. The first one says, do you think it's possible for people to work together without conflict? Why or why not? And we got the second one, how do you feel about conflict? So the first one, we're asking a kind of general question about conflict. And the second question, we're personalizing it so that people get to talk about themselves. Okay, so let's very quickly have a look just to hear your opinions. How about number one? Question number one, do you think it's possible for people to work together without conflict? So in the chat box, what do we think? Miwa says no. Yingji says no. Lots and lots of no's coming in here. And of course, you know, what we might be able to do with adult students, we can have a bit of discussion. I could set this up. So you've all said no. So how about this? How about I'm working with someone, I only work with them very infrequently. Maybe I work with them once a year. Okay, I know them well, and the work we're doing, it's very low stakes. Okay, it's very low stakes, so it doesn't matter. We're not going to get in trouble, okay, if something goes wrong. So under these circumstances, I don't work with them often. We have a good relationship, and the work is very low stakes. Under those circumstances, is it possible to work without any conflicts, do you think? Right, Mira says yes. Okay, so maybe, right? So we can see that conflict is a natural part of life. Okay, all of you said no, it's not possible to work without conflict, which means conflict is inevitable. But obviously the circumstances that we're working under have a huge impact on how much conflict we have. Things I mentioned there, maybe how often we work with people, how well we know our relationship, and very importantly, how high stakes the work is. How important is that work? How much is resting on this work, right? So we can draw this out from our students when we're discussing. Second question, how do you feel about conflict? How do you normally deal with it? So just type into the chat box for me, are you okay with conflict or are you not okay? Okay, so just type okay or not okay. Miwa says I'm okay. V says I'm okay. Lots of people saying they're okay with conflict. That's good. It's part of life. Exactly. It is part of life, Jocelyn. Everyone says, okay, just Ira's saying no. Okay, I depends. I don't like it. Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm not a big fan of conflict. It's something that I don't really want in my life, but I also accept that it is inevitable. Next question is, how do you deal with it? Obviously, this would be interesting for a discussion. We don't have time really to go into this, but maybe you can type in quickly in the chat box. Do you have a kind of standard response? Okay, here, Tree says, first I listen. Very nice. Jocelyn says, I like to talk it out. Okay, clear the air. Perfect. Any other answers here? So listening to people, talking through the problem, clear the air. Any other standard? Try to be objective. Very nice, Cherry. Try not to think of it only from your perspective. Okay. Be polite. Try to accept differences. These are all fantastic ideas. You know, and in the classroom, we'll be writing these up on the board. Okay, and getting people to think about different ways we can deal with conflict. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to move on to the second activity, which is actually a quiz. So let me just move over here, and we can see we've got a quiz here, and we've got a nice picture of two ibex who are fighting in the Alps in France. And this is one way that we can settle conflict, we can manage conflict, we can butt our heads against each other, we can fight, okay? And this is the way that animals often solve their conflicts, but also people sometimes as well. Maybe not the best way for people to solve their conflict. Okay, now there's a quiz here, which is setting 3 situations, and it's asking our students to say, what would they do in this situation? So one of these is about kind of in our social lives. One of them is about sharing a house with people. We're just going to focus on the second one, number 2, because we're talking about work today, and this one is set in a work context. So let's have a look at it. The situation is this: you're upset with your teammate because your teammate Linda, because Linda, she hasn't done her share of the work. You talk to Linda about this, and she starts to shout angrily, and it says, what do you do? Before we start that, I've used my highlighter tool here in the classroom presentation tool just to highlight some of the vocabulary that I think my students are going to need to understand this. And we're just going to go back into my whiteboard and just make sure that everyone understands these different bits of key vocabulary. So we've got here to do your share of the work, to pick up some extra work for somebody else, and to get into an argument. So let's start with the easy one. Okay, number 3. Can you tell me, what does that mean, to get into an argument? Is it A, B, or C? Zebaniso, hi Zebaniso, nice to see you here. It definitely means this one, doesn't it? To get into an argument means to start arguing, okay? To start arguing, to start being angry with someone. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. Let's do number 1, to do your share, or often we add a word in there, your fair share, to do your share or do your fair share of the work. What do we think, A or C? A lot of you putting C. Yeah, so this means that I do my work, you do your work, and it's fair, it's equal. Okay, so you're doing the work you're supposed to do, I'm doing the work that I'm supposed to do, which means the last one, to pick up extra work. Now, this is a phrasal verb that you might not have used in this context before. So pick up literally means to, you know, to lift something, right? But in this case, it has a slightly different meaning, and it means this one, A. Okay, it means to do more work, to do extra work because somebody else didn't do it. So you didn't do it, so I had to pick that up for you. I had to lift that and give it to myself. So we're going to make sure everyone understands that key vocabulary. Okay, now let's go back into the classroom presentation tool, and we're going to have a go at this. So I'm going to let you read through the different options. There are 5 options here, and we're going to do this as a poll because I'm interested to see, okay, what you would do here. So this is the conflict poll. I'm going to launch it, and you should see this on your screen now. If you're on Facebook, you won't see this, but you can type into the chat box if you like, or the comments in Facebook. So let's have a look. Yeah, and read through, and I want you to choose one of these options. So you're upset with your Linda, your colleague, she hasn't done the work. So what are you going to do? Are you going to A, say sorry for upsetting her and tell her that you're happy to pick up the rest of the work for her? B, are you going to walk away from her because you don't want to get into an argument? Are you going to choose C? Okay, you ask Linda questions about why she wasn't able to do the work, and then try to find a solution together. Maybe you prefer D, you tell Linda that she's creating problems for the team and that it's you who should be angry. Or maybe E, you tell her what she's done so far is great, and you offer to do half of her work if she does the other half. So a bit of a negotiation. Okay, so I can see almost half of you have voted there. I'll give you a few more seconds. Okay, let's see if we can get up to maybe 60%. We've got some quite interesting results here. Okay, great. So we've got 2/3 of you, 66% have voted. So I'm going to end the poll there, okay, and share the results. I think this is very interesting. We've got a clear winner here. So for A, okay, only 5%. B is 8%. C, 70%. D, 9%. And E is 8%. So 70% of you would ask Linda questions about why she couldn't do that work and try to find a solution together. Okay, very, very interesting. All right, now let's go back into my whiteboard and have a look, go down here. I'm just going to put the scores in, okay, just so we can keep track of how many people said what, because this is going to be important later on. So 9% said D and 8% of you said E. Okay, now what we're going to do now, okay, I want you to think, have a think about the answers there, the answers that you've put. And I want you to choose one word that we could use that would describe the way that people deal with conflict in that way. So when we look at A, okay, so Linda hasn't done the work, she's angry, and 5% of you have chosen you say sorry. Okay, so she's upset, but you know, she shouldn't be really. You say sorry for upsetting her and you're happy to pick it and you offered to do the extra work. Aidan's put in here doormat. Okay, right, doormat. So this doormat, soft. Okay, soft, right? Any other words we could use to describe this kind of response? Afraid. Okay, doormat, soft, afraid, appease. Okay, kind, right? So there's lots of different ways of viewing it, right? Yeah, avoid, right? Avoiding conflict, right? Unconfrontational, right? Sugar mum, okay. People pleasing, okay. Peace lover, I like that one, right? Let's put in peace, okay. Peace lover, perfect. Okay, right, let's have a look at B. So B is you walk away because you don't want to get into an argument. Can you think of one word that would describe someone who did that? Avoid, avoid, right. I don't know what that means. Disagreement, conflict avoidance. Okay, let's put in avoid, right? So this person, they just want to avoid having the argument, right? How about C, which is most of you? You asked Linda questions about why she wasn't able to do the work. You tried to find a solution together. How about that one? C, cooperative, understand, diplomatic. Okay, right. Cooperate, collaborate. Okay, cooperate. Wonderful. Okay, how about D? Okay, it says you tell Linda she's creating the problem. Okay, I should be angry. You're the one making all the problems. How about this one? D, bossy, aggressive. Yeah, I agree. Aggressive. Perfect. And the last one then, E. You tell her what she's done so far is great, and you offer to do half of her work if she does the other half. Kind, peaceful, compromise. Okay, negotiation. Okay, let's put in there compromise, right? Okay, or we could put negotiate, right? There's similar meanings, right? Perfect. Okay, really nice. So what we've got here, we've got, in your words, okay, we've got these 5 different strategies, and we can see that most of you here like to cooperate. And it's not surprising because I think most of you here are teachers, right? So it's very important as a teacher that we know how to cooperate with, you know, with other people, because that's what we do in our jobs every day. Okay, so you're probably not going to be surprised to hear that this quiz is designed to tell you what kind of person you are, okay? And it's these 5 answers correspond to 5 very common ways that we can deal with conflict. So I've got them down here. You should be able to see them at the bottom of the screen here. So let's see if we can match those to what you actually said, okay? So are any of them the same? So we've got here on the left, we've got here compromise. And of course, we did actually write compromise. So I'm just going to put that here. Compromising. Okay, are any of the others ones the same? Yeah, we've also got avoid. So I'll put that up here. Okay, now how about this one? You said peace lover. Okay, which of these 3 do you think matches with that one? So we put peace lover. And it's this one, the one where you said, sorry, yeah, this is called giving in, okay? This is called giving in, so we're going to put that up there. So this is a common strategy in managing conflict. How about C, cooperate? Most of you said cooperate, okay? And which one is the same as cooperate? Working together, fantastic. And the last one, okay, we said aggressive, and the official technique is called forcing. So this is really good. So what you've done here, you've actually picked words which are very, very similar, and also help us to understand what does giving in. If you give in, maybe it's because you like to be peaceful, right? If you force people, maybe it's because you are an aggressive type of person. Now, I want to say at this point, all of these 5 ways of managing conflict are valid. There's not one that is better than the other. It also really depends on the context. Gracielle's put something interesting here to host some panelists, so you can't all read it. I'm going to read it out. She says, I think in reality, it depends on the person I'm talking to. I'll be a peace lover sometimes, or sometimes an aggressive person. And that's exactly right, Gracielle. It depends who you're talking to, and it depends on the situation you're in. And sometimes the best way of managing conflict will be different, depending on the situation. Okay, so that's fantastic. Okay, you've given me some really good answers there. Okay, let's go back into the lesson, and we're going to move over here. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to watch a short video, okay, which is talking about managing conflict, and we're going to learn more about those different ways of managing conflict. Okay, so I'm going to click into here. We're going to go into the activity. And we're going to watch a video about someone called Paulo. And Paulo, in this video, there is some conflict, and there are 5 suggestions for what Paulo could do to deal with this conflict. Okay, so let's watch. Okay, I'm going to pause it, okay, as we go through. As in the lesson, we would watch if we, in a real lesson, we'd watch this at least twice, I think, to get the most out of this. It's an interesting video. We would discuss, okay, what are the 5 choices? Then we would discuss the pros and cons. Okay, then finally you would say what you would do. So let's watch it. I'm going to pause it, okay, and we will analyze as we go to save a bit of time.
Conflict is a part of life. People have different ways of seeing things. They have different interests, and they want different things. So they're not always going to agree and get along. Some people really hate conflict, but it isn't always a bad thing. If we manage conflict well, it can result in creative solutions and stronger relationships. Let's look at an example. Paulo and Eugene are both having a party, and they both want to invite all their classmates. Paulo finds out they're having their parties on the same day, and he feels pretty upset about it. How can Paulo deal with this situation? Paulo could simply smile.
Okay, I'm just going to pause it there. So let's make sure we understand the situation. So Paulo and his friend Eugene, okay, they're both having a party, okay, and what's the conflict there? What's the problem? Can you type into the chat box for me? They're both having a party. Yeah, they want to invite all their classmates in the same class. Okay, we could change this to a business situation. Right, the party's on the same day. Okay, Paulo, it's his birthday. Okay, and for Eugene, it is a housewarming party. And Paulo is upset because he thinks his birthday is more important. A housewarming could be any day. Okay, so the first one, okay, if we think about giving in, right? So what could Paulo do? If he's going to give in, what would he actually do? What would he actually do if he just gives in? What would he actually do? He would, exactly, Jezreel's got it. He would just cancel his party, right? He could just cancel his party, okay, and that would be it. Okay, let's continue the video.
Smile, accept the situation, and offer to cancel his party. By doing this, Paulo tries to protect his relationship with Eugene by letting her do what she wants. But Paolo isn't dealing with the real issue, and he might still feel angry with Eugene.
Perfect. So it then goes on to give us an advantage and a disadvantage. So the advantage there is that he's protecting his relationship, okay, because he's letting Eugene do what she wants. But the negative side, okay, the disadvantage for Paolo is it doesn't solve his problem, and he will probably still be angry later on. So it doesn't resolve the conflict for him. Okay, the next one. Okay, so which one are we going to do next? Next one we've got avoiding. Okay, right. So if Paolo just going to avoid conflict completely, what could he do? So if he wants to avoid this conflict with Eugene, okay, they've both got a party at the same time. What might Paolo do if he's just going to avoid it completely, avoid the conflict? Keep it to himself, right? Not say anything, okay? Not say anything. So he could just invite people, okay? Have his party. Let's see what might happen. Let's press the video.
Alternatively, Paolo's anger and negative feelings might be too much for him, so he walks away and pretends this situation isn't happening. This might reduce Paolo's stress levels for now, but it doesn't really solve the problem.
Right, so we can see here, Paolo has his party, but there's nobody there. Okay, everyone's gone to the other party. So he just walked away from it. He didn't say anything, okay, and he has his party, but he doesn't enjoy it.
Or maybe Paolo feels that he has more right than Eugene to have this party.
Okay, so the next one, if Paolo feels he has more right to have the party, it's his birthday, okay, then he might be able to be forceful. Okay, so can you give me an example? What do you think he could do to be very forceful to solve this conflict? What could Paolo do? Right, Cherry's got it. He could ask Eugene to cancel her party. Let's see what the video says.
Because it's his birthday, and he's prepared to tell her that. He could insist on Eugene canceling her party. Paolo might win this argument, but he could damage their relationship in the process. Or Paolo might just want a quick solution.
Perfect. Right. Okay. So the next one we've got compromise. Okay. So if he wants a quick solution, he might look for a compromise. So what might the compromise be in this situation? How could they compromise? Jocelyn's put in here, join parties. Very good. Anyone else have an idea? Party together. Okay, great. Fantastic. Some good ideas there. Okay, so let's have a look at what the video says.
That keeps both of them partly happy. For example, he might say, I know we both want an all-day party, but how about you have your party in the afternoon and I have my party at night? This way, both Paolo and Eugene don't get the all-day party they wanted, but they can both be partly satisfied with the result.
Let me pause again there. Yeah, so Alain, you had that exactly right. One party ends early, then have the second one. So have two parties on one day, right? So they both partly get what they want, but they didn't get it completely. Okay, the last one, working together, okay, cooperating. Russell's put in join the party together, right? Okay, so yeah, can anyone elaborate on that? Give me a bit more information. So remember, it's a birthday party and a housewarming party. So what could they do to work together? They could join the party. How could they join the party? Yeah, co-host, right. Perfect. Okay. So let's have a look and see what happens.
Or maybe Paolo really wants to understand the situation better and wants to stop feeling angry at Eugene, so he speaks to her about it. Paolo might find out that Eugene didn't know that day is his birthday. He might also realize that Eugene's new house is a great place for a party, and they could have a party together. Having a conversation about a problem can be difficult, but it can also help build trust and develop relationships as we try to understand each other's point of view. All of these 5 ways of managing conflict have their good points and bad points. Some of us will have a preferred way of dealing with conflict, But people who are good at managing conflict are able to look at each situation and change how they respond.
Okay, fantastic. So thank you for your contributions there. That was really good. And you came up with exactly the ideas we had in the video. So let me just ask you, first of all, I'd like to hear your opinion on the video itself and on the content of that. So how do you feel about that topic? Is that something that's interesting for you? Is it interesting for your adult students, do you think? Just to get some quick feedback from you, how do you feel about that? Miwa says it's interesting. Yeah, it happens in real life. Great. Yeah, it happens to everyone. It's appealing. Very interesting video. It applies to all situations. Yeah, great lesson in working together. Right. So yeah, Sam says that it's a great example for discussion. So it's taking something that we can all relate to, and it's giving us these 5 possible solutions, right? And it's making people think, it's making us reflect on our own behavior and the way that we deal, as Cherry says here, is useful for emotional control. It allows discussion, is very useful for us, right? So yeah, I agree with you, and this is what I really like about especially these D lessons in voices. It gives us these situations where we can really explore how we feel about something, so social emotional learning, but it also teaches us these life skills, and it makes us think about how can we manage our behavior better, how can we succeed in our life by dealing with these things in a better way. Okay, lots of comments here. Wow, amazing. Improving communication, building communication skills and creative solutions. Fantastic. Okay, so I'd say we would go through and we would talk more about this in the real lesson, okay, but we're going to move on from there. Okay, and the next bit, okay, remember these for our students. Okay, I know that you've probably understand these 5 techniques for managing conflict very well, but we need to make sure our students fully understand them. So we've got another interactive activity here where our students are going to go through and they're just going to match with definitions. Okay, so if we look at number 1, it says here, when the issue is small. Oh, sorry, I should look at this box first, shouldn't I? Let's have a look at that first. So this is the communication skill, okay, that we're teaching in this lesson, managing conflict. So let's read that. It says here, many of us have a preferred way of dealing with conflict. However, the way we respond to conflict should depend on the situation. So take time to consider the situation, decide on the best way of dealing with that conflict. And I think this is true, isn't it? I think, you know, for a lot of people, like maybe, especially, you know, in some cases, if you're the type of person who tends to give in, it can almost become a habit, can't it? And you find yourself giving in more and more, and you give in all the time, and then you never get what you want. And this can be a problem for you in your life. But in the same way, if you are the type of person who always tries to force their opinion, if you can be aggressive in the way you deal with it, that can cause problems as well, because eventually people won't want to work with you anymore because you're too forceful. On the other hand, if you're the kind of person who always wants to collaborate, you always want to work together with other people, that could cause a problem as well, couldn't it? Because that could mean that perhaps it takes too much time. Okay, sometimes we need to make decisions quickly, right? Sometimes we have to be forceful, right? Sometimes we have to give in. If you always want to discuss it, it's taking too much time. So it depends on the situation. Ruth has asked a question, is the best choice working together then? Sometimes, yes, the best choice is working together, but not always, okay? It depends on the situation. So let's have a look at these and just make sure we understand them. Number 1, when the issue is small and when it's not the right time or place to talk, or when it's better to wait until everyone's calmer. Okay, so what do you think? Which of these 5 techniques do you think that one matches with? Okay, someone says avoid, someone says give in, avoid. Okay, let's have a look. So this one is avoid. Okay, when the issue is small, it's not important. Okay, just avoid it. Okay, we can deal with it later. Next one, when there's no time for longer discussion, when you need a quick way to lower negative feelings. Okay, number 2, Linda's saying give in. Okay, give in, let's check. Okay, so this one, we're going to go for compromise. Okay, there's no time. So the compromise can be very quick, right? We just say, okay, you do this, I'll do that. Okay. And I think the important bit here, it says it's a quick way to lower negative feelings. Okay, you lower negative feelings by giving them something that they want. All right. Okay, number 3, when you've realized you're wrong. Okay, in this case, you know you're wrong. The issue is more important to them, and that relationship is important to you. So this one is going to be you give in. Okay, you know you're wrong. Number 4, when you need everyone to commit to a solution, or when you need to build a long-term relationship. So here are our 2 choices: force or work together. To building a long-term relationship is going to be working together. And the last one, when you need to stand up for yourself, when you've tried other ways, they haven't worked, and you need a quick solution, we're going to force. Okay, so these are our answers. I put them all so we can see them all together. And we can see that all of these are good techniques for managing conflict, but they each have their own time and place where they would work well. Perfect. Okay, so let's now go in and have a quick look at the next activity. So this is the section which is called Own It. Okay, and in the Own It section, what we're doing is we're giving students an opportunity to apply what they've just learned and to personalize it. Okay, to think about what they would do in these situations. Okay, so here we go. We've got 6 situations. And they're going to decide here which of these 5 do they think is the best, the most suitable for this particular situation. Okay, so we can have a go at this. Let's have a look in the activity again. I must make that a bit bigger for you so you can see it well. Now, there's no right or wrong answer here, really. You know, in my opinion, some of these will be better than others, but this is the point of this activity is students are thinking about it, and then they're going to justify why they think this technique would be better than others, right? So I'm just going to go over here again. Okay, and I'm just going to make sure that I'm going to show you, just so you can remember the 5 different ways that we've got here of managing conflict. So let's look again. It says your teammate doesn't like your design of the team t-shirt. Okay, so you're obviously designing a t-shirt for an event. She's critical, but she doesn't have any ideas. She doesn't suggest anything. And the printing company closes soon. So you're running out of time, all right? So let's see, from these 5, which of these do you think would be the best solution under these circumstances? Most of you are putting in force here. A couple of work togethers. Most of you are saying force. Let's have a look. Yeah, and our sample answer is force because there's no time. There's no time to compromise, right? It's you know, we haven't got time to redesign it. So in this case, she's not being helpful. Okay, she hasn't offered an alternative. So we're just going to force in that case. Next one, number 2. Your best friend City is upset that you forgot her birthday again. She never forgets yours. Okay, so what do we think here? What's the best way to manage this conflict? So you're in the wrong, right? You've forgotten, you're in the wrong. Yeah, so probably we should give in here. We should buy her a big bunch of flowers and, you know, some nice present, apologize, okay, and make sure you don't do it next time, okay? Give in, exactly. Next one, your brother's unhappy that you've booked a beach holiday with friends instead of going on a family holiday. Okay, so you're going on holiday with your friends, not with your family. Your brother loves the beach, he's upset. Okay, what would be the best way, in your opinion, of managing this conflict? What could we do? We could work together. Okay, how could we work together? Or maybe you have a different idea. Maybe compromise. Okay, force. Okay, just force. Okay, you're not coming. Okay, I'm going with my friends. Yeah, go together, right? So if we're going to go together, okay, that might be a kind of compromise, right? So maybe you could invite your brother along, or maybe you get your family to go to the same place, and then you could spend some of the time with them and some of the times with your family. So you could compromise in this situation. Good idea, Phoebe. Have a family beach holiday. Right? Okay, next one. Your new colleague, Mike, is complaining angrily because your boss called him Mickey. Okay. So his name's Mike, boss called him Mickey. You don't understand. Why is this such a big deal? But Mike's talking to you, he's complaining. Okay, what do we think might be the way to deal with this? Jezreel says avoid Everyone's saying avoid, right? Okay, let's see our sample answer. Our sample answer is avoid. It's not your problem. It's not a big deal. Okay, just avoid it. Okay, you deal with it yourself. Perfect. Okay, so we've gone through, okay, and we've had a look at all these different situations. I think this really helps to get students to start understanding that it's the situation that determines your behavior. It's not just your personality, it's the situation which should be, you know, changing the way you behave, right? Okay, so we're going to do speaking activities in a minute, okay, which is a role play. And before we do that, we're going to introduce useful language. So we've got all of these situations here, and we've got the phrases that they could use. What I would do in class is I'd get them to brainstorm more sentences, and I'd add to this so they've got more language to use. But we're going to go and have a look at the speaking activity 8, which is the role play. Okay, so what they have to do in the role play, they have to look at those situations that we just discussed. They have to choose a couple of those and they have to do them as a role play. Right now, I want to talk about role plays a little bit because in my experience working with teachers, role play it's an activity that teachers have different opinions about, and I'm interested to hear your opinions about role plays. Okay, so I'm going to launch another poll for you here about doing role plays, and there are 2 questions in this can't launch it. I'm not sure why I can't launch that. Maybe if I duplicate it, would that work? Okay, let's try this one. I can't launch my, okay, never mind. Maybe Andrew or someone, if you're there, can someone help me figure out why I can't launch my poll? And in the meantime, we can just use the chat box. Okay, so I'd like you to type into the chat box for me. How do you feel about using role plays in the classroom? Do you love it? Do you like it? Do you think it's okay? Or do you dislike using role plays in the classroom? Okay, so maybe you can answer in the chat box for me. Andrew, I think Andrew's managed to launch that for me. Well done. Thank you, Andrew. And there are 2 questions in there. Yeah, so I want to know, how do you feel about it? Do you love it? Like it? You don't like it, or you hate it? And the second question is multiple choice. I want you to choose all the things that you agree with. So do you think they're fun? Do you think they're useful? Do you think they reflect real life? Do you think that they're a waste of time? Do you think that students have problems because they don't have enough language? Do you think the students don't have enough ideas? And do you think they're difficult to set up? Christine De Castro says, I love role plays. Thank you, Andrew, for sorting that out. Okay, and I'll give you another minute or so. Yes, that's a good point. Someone's just put, they need to be clear about their duty. You are absolutely right. And that's what I'm going to be talking about in a minute. Okay, let me just give a couple more seconds. We've got almost 60% of you have voted. And interesting results. So I'm seeing most of you think that they're fun, most of you think they're useful, and that they reflect real life. Right, Aiden says, Japanese students are very shy to engage in role play. They need scaffolding. I agree 100%. Okay, let's end the poll and have a look at the results. So the first question, most of you like it and some of you love it, okay? And only a few of you, 13% don't like them and nobody hates it. So positive, okay? So we've got a very positive response to doing role plays. This is the bit I was really interested in, and I'm quite surprised here actually. So very, very positive results that 63% think they're useful, 57% think they're fun, and about half of you, 50% think that they reflect real life. Only 1% thinks they're a waste of time, and that's fine. And down here, so I've put in my anticipated problems. So 18% of you say that students don't have enough vocabulary or enough language. 16% say students don't have enough ideas, and 10% say they're difficult to set up. So we're going to have a look at some things we can do, okay, to help with these problems, because in my opinion, role plays can fail. And there are some things that we can do. They can fall flat, as Sophia said. So there are some things we can do to help with that. So I'm introducing this very, very simple 4-step scaffolding for doing role play. So in my opinion, the first reason role plays don't work is because students don't really understand what's happening. Okay, they don't understand the situation in the setup. They don't really understand what's going on. So the first thing I do, I'm going to ask my student, or we do it together on the board. I'm going to ask them simple question: what's happening in this situation? So we're going to simplify and we're going to paraphrase the actual situation to make sure that everyone understands in very simple language, this is the situation, because we can't role play a situation if we don't understand the situation. The second thing, good role plays, most good role plays, and certainly the ones in Voices, they revolve around a certain kind of conflict, a problem, or an issue. So again, we're going to ask them to identify exactly what that is. So it's a comprehension check. Do they get it? Do they understand why they're having this conversation? Not just the situation, why they're having this situation, how they're going to resolve something. The next situation, next question, what could you do? And notice I put here, what could you do? Not what should you do, what could you do? And we're going to brainstorm ideas. We'll do it all together. We'll write them on the board. Anything. Here are 10, 15 different things you could do in this situation. And students don't need to use all of these. Okay, they're just going to use some of them. They're going to pick the ones they like and put those into their role play. So we said earlier, so 18% you said they don't know what to say. Okay, so here we're giving them ideas, right? And lastly, what could you say? So this time we're giving them the actual language and phrases. This could be individual words. They could use their dictionaries. They could translate the words that they want. We could write those on the board, keywords. We could use phrases. We could use whole sentences. We could use sentence stems. Okay, so we're giving them the tools. We're giving them the ideas and the language they need to complete the role play. Okay. I'm just going to show you something I've written here. If I can make that bigger. Okay, so what I put in here, now these sort of general questions can be applied to most role plays. You could obviously adapt these questions if needed, but what we're doing, we're scaffolding the task so that you're giving the students time to digest, make sure they understand it, and then you're giving them the ideas and the language they need to make sure that this role play succeeds. Aidan says, should I explain or paraphrase in the target language or home language? You know what, Aidan, I think it depends on the level of your students. I think it's fine if you have low-level students and they really don't get it. Maybe you could try in English first, and if they're not getting it, sure, why not? You can use L1, right? I mean, they need to understand what they're doing, otherwise they can't do it. So I think it's fine to do it in English first and then use L1. Okay, so here is an example. So we're going to look at this one we just talked about. Your new colleague, Mike, is complaining about his boss because boss called him Mickey. You don't understand why this is such a big deal. So I've done some of this, and this is how I would do it. The first time we're doing these role plays, I would give a model like this. I'd show them. So what's happening? Well, quite simply, Mike is angry because his boss called him Mickey. Okay, that's the situation, right? Why is there a problem? Now, there are two things here. The first problem, there's a problem because Mike hates being called Mickey, but that is not the cause of the conflict, okay? So can anyone type into the chat box for me? Like, because our students might think this, they might think that this is the problem, but that's not really the problem. The problem is, here's the problem. The problem is that he's talking to you and you don't something. What? You don't what? So this is the real cause of conflict in my conversation with Mike. Right, Andrew Tiffany says, what's the fuss? You don't understand, right? You don't understand why he's angry. We could say maybe you don't care, right? You think it's nothing. You don't think it's important. You don't care very much. Okay, so this is where the conflict is. Mike is angry and he wants to tell you, and you don't care. That is the conflict, okay? Next, what could you do? So I've written down some things we could do here. You could ask why he hates being called Mickey. Say your boss gives nicknames to everyone. Tell Mike your boss doesn't mean any harm. Suggests he speaks to the boss. Offer to speak to the boss. Tell Mike to ignore it. Could you just give me one more? What else could we do here? And it doesn't have to be a good idea. It's just any idea. At this point, we're just putting down any idea. Right. Okay. So I could confront Mike. Okay, so I could confront Mike, okay? Tell Mike tell Mike to forget about it. Okay, well, it's similar to the other one, right? Tell Mike to shut up. I don't. Okay, I don't know. Give a nickname to their boss. Okay, tell him to respond inside. Tell him to give a nickname to his boss. As I say, they don't have to be great ideas. And when the students doing this, they're practicing their English, right? So they can make it funny, right? Why not? Why not make a funny role play? They would enjoy it more. Okay. Tell Mike to give a nickname to the boss. Okay, perfect, right? Okay, we then go down and we look at the actual language. Okay, so I've put phrases here. Why don't you like being called Mickey? Oh, the boss gives nicknames to everyone. Don't worry about it. He's not being rude. He's just like that. Okay, and again, we get the students to think of more ideas. Okay, right. So that is the process. Okay, once they've got the ideas, they've got the language, they understand the situation, they can use this, put it together, work with a partner, and create a role play. Okay, so hopefully by doing it this way, I know it works because I've done it like this before in the classroom. This is a very scaffolded way. It's giving support to our students. Okay, let's just have a quick listen. Okay, I have recorded one here. I want you to listen, and I want you, as you listen, I want you to tell me, okay, which of these ways, okay, did this person use, okay, to manage the conflict? Okay, so let's listen and read.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Not so good, actually.
Oh dear, why? What happened?
It's our boss, Sally. She called me Mickey in a meeting today.
She called you Mickey? Is that a problem?
Yeah, I don't like it.
Oh, okay. Have you told her that?
Not yet. Maybe you could tell her.
Do you know Sally gives everyone nicknames? It's not just you. She doesn't mean any harm.
Yeah? Well, it's disrespectful. My name is Mike, not Mickey.
She doesn't mean any harm. She's a good person.
Will you tell her not to do it again? You know her better than me.
I think I'll leave it up to you to decide what to do. Do what you think is best.
Okay.
See you later then.
Bye. Great. So that is a role play that I did with my colleague Kitty. Okay. It's about 1 minute. It's a 1 minute role play. Can you tell me, having a look there, which of these strategies did Kitty, person A, use to manage this conflict? Avoiding. Jezreel says avoiding. Great. And which sentence shows you that? What did she say? Which particular sentence did you? Oh, right. She says, I'll leave it up to you to decide what to do. Perfect. And if I go back into the CPT classroom presentation tool, we can see under avoiding, I'll leave it to you to decide. This is one of the target sentences. Okay. And there's a lot we can do with the role plays, right? We could get students after they've written them, we get to record like we did. We could get them, to read with their partner. I think, something with role play, we don't always have to do them in front of the class, right? Because that takes a lot of time. They could do it with their partner, then they could go take their role play, work with another partner, okay, and they could perform it with another partner and then another partner, do it 3 times, so they're doing 3 different ones, discuss in each one with each new partner. They can discuss, why did you do this? Okay, which technique did you use? So there's a lot of different things we can do with these role plays, and it doesn't have to take a lot of time. It doesn't have to be performing in front of the class, right? Recording them is a much better option. Okay, now I'm going over time. Okay, so I need to hurry up. There is another activity here we're not going to do, okay, which is then another personalization activity where we get students to discuss how they feel about conflict, to discuss situations where they've been in conflict, okay? Okay, so let me just ask you, as we were talking about role plays, how did you feel about that, that structure, okay, for setting up a role play? Okay, do you think that would help your students? Do you think that would be useful for them? And as you're thinking about that, I'm just going to go back into my PowerPoint. Okay, so we can finish off here. Okay, where's the button that I need? It's that one. Okay, lots of comments here saying it's very useful, very helpful. Okay, very nice. I'm glad you found that useful. Okay, so let's quickly, wrap up the webinar. So yeah, I want to remind you, that the content materials you've seen today are from National Geographic Learning's adult program called Voices. We were using the intermediate level, which is for B1 level students. As I told you earlier, and as you saw, it's integrated skills, and it teaches, one of its big strengths is it teaches life skills, communication skills, future ready skills, which are highly relevant to working adults. What I really love about these D lessons that we looked at today, the speaking lessons, is that they almost feel like you're teaching, EMI or, content-based language learning, because you're, there are lots of other lessons in the unit which are teaching grammar, which are teaching vocabulary, but in this one we're learning some real content. In this case today, we were just learning and talking about how to manage conflict, right? We weren't focusing a lot on the grammar or something like that, but a lot of things would have popped up, in the lesson. I'm sure lots of grammar points, lots of vocabulary would come up naturally, but really we're teaching content. Okay, I want to mention as well today that Voices, it comes on the Spark platform. So the Spark platform is all our digital resources, and we have digital resources for teachers that can help you prepare, teach, assess your classes, and also keep track of their performance. Here are all the tools which are available on Spark. So you can place students into a program, you have all your resources there, all in one place, all under one login. You have your students ebook, you have the classroom presentation tool, you can assign homework to your students online, they can access that, you can give them exams, and you can keep track of everything. So we're moving forwards now, into a new era of English teaching where it's not just a textbook, we actually have all these digital tools to enhance the experience. If you'd like more information about this, you can contact me, and I will reply. Yeah, one last thing I can say, Spark, which is the digital platform, you can use this together with printed books, or you can use it as a standalone platform with all of the learning content that you need. So you can have either a hybrid print and digital, or just a digital experience with that. We are going to send you a follow-up email tomorrow, which will have a link to the certificate and to the recording. So look out for that. By the end of tomorrow, you'll have your email with the certificate. Q&A, I'm not sure if there are any questions. If you have one, please type it into the Q&A box. And while you're doing that, I'm going to just quickly give you a bit more information. So we have other webinars coming up. I hope you enjoyed today. Here are the next two we have coming up. You can click, Andrew just put in the link there. You can click and find out more, and you can register for the webinars directly through our website. So please join. We've got one tomorrow, empowering adult learners to stand out in the workforce, which matches well with my theme today. And yes, as Andrew says, this one on April the 26th, 27th, Chia Swan Chong, she's actually the author or co-author of the materials that we just used today. So the lesson that we just used is written by Chia Swan Chong. She's a fantastic author and teacher and trainer, so please join that. I really recommend you do. And please become a fan. We'd like you to follow us to find out more about us. You can join our Facebook page. You can follow us on WeChat. And if you follow us on Facebook, you'll find out about all of the events that we have coming up. Okay, let's see if I've got any questions here. Okay, I did see one. It says, can you quickly explain pros and cons of each method mentioned before? I'm not sure which method you mean, T. If you're talking about the managing conflict, what I suggest you do, and what I'm going to do now, for those of you who are still here, I'm going to show you something. So actually, if we go back into the materials I was using just now, it does say here, explore more, right? And it does suggest in the book, it suggests looking up the Thomas Kilmann conflict instrument graph. So this would be great homework for our students and for you if you're interested in it. If you Google this, you're going to find something that looks like this. And this is actually the Thomas Kilmann instrument. This is a model, okay, of how conflict management looks like, okay, what it looks like. And you can easily find websites by doing a Google search, which are going to give you lots more information about managing conflict and about the theory behind it. And it will give you the benefits. And here we go. So this website, which I can put into the chat box for you. This has lots of information. And this is the other thing that I really love about using real content at National Geographic Learning. We always use real content because you can do this when you finish the lesson. You know, when students are interested in it, as some of you are, you can then go and find out more, right? You can go and look at it. You can learn more real things, okay? And that is what we want our students to do. They're going to do it in English. They're going to learn more. They're going to love the English language more, and they're going to benefit in lots of other ways, okay? So I think, thank you for asking that question, and I hope that answers your question. Okay, so I can't see any other questions, and I'm over time, so I am going to let you all go. So yeah, thank you so much for attending, and I hope to see you again next time. And until next time, okay, be safe and have a great day.